Sawadee good morning, and thank you for joining us on Newsline, broadcasting live on NBT Radio Thailand FM 88 and NBT World. It's Sunday, February 7th, and you're with me, Surapan Lautharanarit. Welcome to today's segment of Thailand Moves Forward. In our first story, the Prime Minister has led a meeting of head civil servants with an aim to improve and integrate their work for more concrete results. Prime Minister General Prayut Chan-o-cha has chaired a meeting of permanent secretary-level officials of the Ministry of Tourism and Sports. The gathering was called so that the officials could brainstorm solutions to obstacles they are facing in their work. The topics discussed included increased integration between divisions, personnel management, national development, and the creation of stronger networks. The meeting also touched on revenue targets for the tourism sector, sustainable tourism, dispersion of revenue, and the instilling of nationalism among citizens. On sports, the officials resolved to make Thailand a leader among ASEAN countries. Issues brought up by officials for their superiors range from the development of tourism and sports sites to delays due to poor integration of work. The attendants noted that more provincial-level personnel are needed to achieve the Ministry of Tourism and Sports goals and requested budget support for their acquisition. The Prime Minister has invited Thai and foreign tourists to Klong Padung Krung Kasem Market near Government House. Prime Minister General Prayut Chan-o-cha said Klong Padung Krung Kasem Market is presenting the Land of Smiles event from now until February 26th, hosted by the Ministry of Culture. The event supports the traditions and culture that are unique to various regions and features unique products from local communities. The event will alternate themes to attract visitors and encourage consumer spending. The period between February 1st and 7th, which is the first week of the month, features a prosperity market to coincide with Chinese New Year. The second week, from February 8th to February 14th, will be a celebration of Valentine's Day. The third week, from February 15th to February 21st, will be on the theme Market of Happiness. And the final week, from February 22nd to February 26th, will be presented on the theme Market of Merit in order to celebrate Makha Bucha Day. Prime Minister General Prayut Chan-o-cha said he would take a close look at the first draft of the new constitution following its publication. The Prime Minister said a constitution that is the most important mechanism that is used to run a country. It is the set of principles that all democratic countries of the world uphold. However, he said a constitution is not a special medicine nor a formula to fix Thailand's problems. He said everyone, including himself, needs to take their time studying the first constitution draft and avoid listening to the opinions of those who did not themselves draft the Constitution in order to prevent any confusion. According to him, however well the Constitution is written, it would still mean nothing should people fail to unite or work together to end years-long conflicts. He said everyone should be disciplined and respect the law, adding that the hearts of the people are far more important than a constitution, because that is where ethics ultimately reside. The President of the National Legislative Assembly, or NLA, has insisted that the NLA suggestions on the first charter draft are meant to make the draft more suitable for the circumstances in Thailand and are not a gesture of rejection. NLA President Pornphet Wichit Cholachai convened a meeting to gather member suggestions on the first draft of the new Constitution. These suggestions will be forwarded to the Constitution Drafting Commission, or CDC, on February 15th. According to him, the NLA suggestions, if heeded, will increase the chances of the first draft passing the public referendum adding that all the suggestions are meant to help the charter meet the needs of the people. He went on to say that the public referendum cannot be staged through the enforcement of Section 44 of the interim charter. The only way for the referendum to take place is to amend the interim constitution itself. Mr. Michai Rishupan, chairperson of the Constitution Drafting Commission, or CDC, has reiterated the main goals of the permanent charter, saying it has been drafted to encourage public participation and eliminate corrupt practices. During a seminar held by the CDC, Mr. Michai said the new constitution attaches great significance to public participation in the reform process as well as in politics. He gave a strong assurance that the new charter does not infringe upon the rights of the public, but instead allows every vote by the people to count. He said the CDC is still open to suggestions from all sides, while urging everyone to carefully study the first draft before passing judgment. In terms of education, he said the government is obligated by the new constitution to provide quality education to every citizen free of charge. Meanwhile, the Royal Thai government, through its Command Center for Combating Illegal Fishing, or CCCIF, is implementing various measures to prevent and crack down on illegal, unreported, and unregulated, or IUU fishing in Thai waters. Here's a special report from the CCCIF.
ไปลงทะเบียนกับประมงจังหวัดแล้วประมงจังหวัดบอกว่าไม่ทราบเรื่องก็เลยไม่สามารถลงทะเบียนและธนาคารก็ไม่สามารถรับได้ชาวประมงส่วนใหญ่ที่ดินของตัวเองไม่มีหลักทรัพย์ที่มีมูลค่ามากที่สุดในชีวิตของชาวประมงคือเรือ
ครับบีโฟปุ๊บเนี่ยถือว่าสำรวจแล้วถือว่าเข้าระบบสำรวจแล้วมันก็จะมีฐานข้อมูลอยู่อยากจะขออนุญาตเคลียร์ปัญหาทั้งหมดที่ค้างอยู่นะครับเพื่อที่จะได้เดินหน้าต่อไปและผมจะได้รายงานทางคณะขับเคลื่อนยุทธศาสตร์ของคสช.ในการประชุมครั้งต่อไปได้
Providing assistance to 873 fishermen who requested help with a budget of 228 million baht. 70% completed and 30% is work in process. Provide assistance relating to buying fishing vessels from the owners who wish to terminate their business according to the government resolution on 29th of December 2015 with approved budget of 215 million baht, together with the provision of low-interest loan from the government savings bank for fishermen who need to replace fishing equipment or changing professions. Receiving of fisheries rights requests from 8,024 fishing vessels, which may have not been previously inspected. The announcement has been made for the fishermen to submit the request by the end of January 2016.
We need your help. You need to communicate with us
on human trafficking that related to IUU fishing.
Up until now, people of all sectors have made every effort to solve Thailand's illegal fisheries problem on a continuous basis, including the help from the private sectors and the local fishermen under the integration of the Command Center for Combating Illegal Fishing, with the help and assistance from all concerns. Apart from the aim to lift the ban from the global community, it is also targeted to provide sustainable fisheries resources for the younger generations to consume with a balance and sustainability for a long time to come.
The Ministry of Commerce has stated that the government's recent visits to Oman and Iran were concluded with satisfactory outcomes. After Deputy Prime Minister Somkit Jatusi Pitak led a delegation of businessmen to the Sultanate of Oman and the Islamic Republic of Iran, Commerce Minister Apiradi Tantraporn said both visits paved the way for important business discussions and the promotion of bilateral cooperation in many areas. Ms. Apiradi elaborated that the kingdom reached an agreement with Oman to push the value of bilateral trade to $6 billion within the next 3 years. A committee has also been set up to study the possibility of establishing free trade agreements with the 6 member states of the Gulf Cooperation Council, namely Oman, Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. As for the recent talks with Iran, an ambitious goal was set to boost the bilateral trade value from $300 million in 2015 to $3 billion over the course of 5 years. On this occasion, Thailand offered to host the first meeting of the Joint Trade Commission between the two countries in the middle of this year. Iran also signed a deal to purchase 300,000 tons of rice and 20,000 tons of rubber from Thailand, worth a combined 5.3 billion baht. Agriculture and Cooperatives Minister General Chatchai Sarikanya has traveled to Trang province to observe the rubber purchase project in the province. General Chatchai inspected the purchase activity in Wangwiseit district and met with local rubber growers registered with the project to listen to their problems and suggestions. General Chatchai then visited a rubber co-op to witness rubber processing. General Chatchai disclosed that rubber growers who discussed the problems with him were mostly small-scale operators who preferred to sell natural rubber to the co-op. They also asked the government to increase its purchase quota. The rubber purchase project is one of the government's efforts to alleviate the effects of the price slump. The purchased rubber will be used in the construction of public facilities, such as roadways. In Trang, around 50,000 rubber planters are taking advantage of the helpful project. More than 7,000 of them have already been paid. Some rubber-producing provinces have turned to edible plants and vegetables as another source of income. The drought situation in Thailand has made life difficult this year for many farmers. But recently, 2 professors from Israel, one of the driest countries on earth, came to Thailand to explain how Israelis use technology to manage their limited water supplies. Kun Panosi Sinsap has this story.
During a seminar on technologies for agriculture in drylands, organized by the National Science and Technology Development Agency, the 2 guest Israeli professors expressed the view that despite the low rainfall Thailand has experienced lately, the situation can be dealt with positively, as Thailand's annual precipitation is 1,500 millimeters, while in Israel, the country receives only 90 to 500 millimeters of rain. Yet, this modest amount of rain is enough to grow crops with yields that are sufficient to produce food for the country, with some even available for export.
They can look at the system, they can look at more efficient way to grow their plants. Maybe they need to change their cropping system, maybe they need to change the varieties, maybe they need to do something. If you will do the same as you did before, if you don't have the same water, you will lose productivity. So you need to do something, you need to adjust.
I think what the Thai agriculture need to do is adapt new technology in order to have better use efficiency of water. And by that, using irrigation system, they can use also the fertilization in an efficient way. You can save up to 50% of the water using drip irrigation, for example. Of course, it costs money from the beginning because you need to buy the system. And by that, the farmers can continue to produce food. So most of the farmers cannot do it by themselves. They need help. After they have it, they can grow. And after 5, 6, 10 years, everything is running. And of course, it's coming to be the way to grow.
As the 2 researchers mentioned, for the past 50 years, Israel has dealt with its problem of low rainfall by utilizing and advancing technological developments. So the 2 researchers made it clear, Thailand too should learn to apply agricultural technology to to maintain its productivity. One Thai researcher from the National Science and Technology Development Agency went to Israel to learn more about its water management plan and stressed that it is time for Thais to update the way farming is done here.
แต่ทุกวันนี้เนี่ยพี่ว่าเราต้องตระหนักขึ้นมาแล้วล่ะเพราะว่า
We have to pay more attention. We need to learn to adapt to the new environment. In Israel, the agriculture sits on the base of limitations, and they're able to overcome those limitations through water-saving methods and technology. Besides technology that we can adapt from Israel, there is also their management system. Over there, farmers follow up on news, markets, and weather reports to decide what is best to grow.
It's clear that agriculturalists in Thailand will benefit from learning how to adapt to the changing environment by using improved water management systems, and according to the experts from Israel and Thailand, by recognizing that its natural resources are a treasure with thought and care for bountiful outcomes. ปนดศรีสินทรัพย์ NBT World.
Several Chinese monasteries in Phuket have livened themselves up with thousands of lanterns in celebration of Chinese New Year. It is the first time Chinese temples in Phuket's downtown have all simultaneously put up Chinese New Year decorations. As a result, both residents and visitors are enjoying the lively ambience of the city. Caretakers of the shrines explained that the display of Chinese lanterns was to urge Chinese Thai people in Phuket to revive the ancient Chinese merit-making tradition and to promote tourism during Chinese New Year. Phuket Governor Jamron Thipayapongthada said that the light from the lanterns represented luck and hope, and said that relevant agencies are planning to make the Chinese lantern display an annual festival. The lantern decorations will continue until February 22nd. And that's it for today's edition of Thailand Moves Forward. We'll take a quick break now, but before that, let's have a look at the exchange rates and commodity prices.
Should gifts of bounty fill the trawler still, I dance in thanks to thee.
Welcome back. You're watching Newsline. Prime Minister General Prayut Chan-o-cha and Vice President of India Mohammed Hamid Ansari have presided over an agreement signing ceremony for coastal logistics cooperation. Under the agreement, Thailand and India will join hands to set up a transport route between a seaport in the Andaman Sea and those in India. Thailand will study a new Indian investment law before proposing the subsequent establishment of a free trade area or FTA agreement with India. Another deal for tourism cooperation will allow India to study Thailand's tourism management. Mr. Ansari is the first Indian vice president to visit Thailand in half a century. He and his wife, Salma Ansari, had the opportunity to observe the Royal Jitlada projects. The Indian vice president then delivered a keynote speech at Chulalongkorn University entitled India, Thailand, and ASEAN, Contours of a Rejuvenated Relationship. Both later traveled to Wat Prachetupon Vimon Mankaralam, also known as Wat Po, and the Grand Palace. Next year, Thailand and India will celebrate their 70th anniversary of diplomatic relations. Moving on to the global front, rescuers early this morning pulled a 7-year-old boy out of the ruins of a building that collapsed after Taiwan was hit by a powerful earthquake. There have been no reports of Thai citizens injured or killed in the incident. The earthquake struck Taiwan early yesterday, killing at least 12 people, most in a 17-story apartment building that collapsed in the southern city of Tainan. Taiwanese government officials said some people are still known to be missing in the ruins of the complex. The U.S. Geological Survey said the 6.4 magnitude tremor hit at around 4 p.m. local time. It was centered 43 kilometers southeast of Tainan at a depth of 23 kilometers. According to the Thailand Trade and Economic Office in Taipei, no Thais were injured or killed in the incident. About 65,000 Thais live in the country, with an approximately 5,000 of them residing in Tainan. Syrian Foreign Minister Walid al-Muallim warned that any foreign forces entering Syria would end up returning home in wooden coffins. Al-Muallim made the statement at a press conference in Damascus in response to reports in early February claiming Saudi Arabia and Bahrain are ready to send troops to Syria to fight against extremist groups. The foreign minister said this serves as evidence of an attempt by foreign powers to interfere in Syria's internal affairs, and the Syrian government will unshakably defend its territorial sovereignty. When asked about the Syrian government's preparations for the UN-backed peace talks, which have been suspended until later this month, al-Muallim said the talks should be launched unconditionally and free from foreign meddling. UN Special Envoy to Syria, Staffan de Mistura, announced the suspension of the talks only 3 days after they were started, citing inadequate preparations from both sides. Animals at the Harbin Polar Land Aquarium in northeast China's Heilongjiang province have been using their newly learned tricks to wish visitors a happy Chinese Lunar New Year. The animals received special training in order to learn the new moves for the festival season. Visitors can see 2 polar bear brothers lifting up their paws to give a New Year greeting and digging salmon out of snowballs in their enclosure. In the whale tank, 2 white whales from Russia dance to romantic music and blow bubbles at the audience. While over at the showroom, a 6-year-old walrus delivers a humorous act that includes blowing up a balloon and other funny moves. And that's a wrap for today's edition of Newsline. For any comments or suggestions, feel free to email us at newsline.nbt@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Facebook or simply visit our website at thainews.prd.go.th/en. And for today, we're going to say goodbye with the world's only set of giant panda triplets celebrating the Spring Festival in South China. I'm Suraphalaut Haranarit. Thank you for joining us and have a wonderful day. สวัสดีครับ